Hey y'all, welcome to Criminally Creative, a channel about my various creative endeavors. Today is Sunday, January 4th, 2026, and this is episode 94. I'm Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and on Instagram as Criminally Creative 1. That's the Arabic numeral 1. Today, if you're new here, today is not going to be a regular episode. This is going to be my end of 2025 WIP Parade, which I normally would have done probably a day or two before this, but life has been lifing, and so here's where I get to it. I'm going to record this in stages, so if I don't get it all done tonight, you may see different clothes tomorrow if I have to finish it tomorrow night. But if you're new here, I appreciate you checking me out. Just a little bit, because I know a lot of new people watch WIP Parades. I will do just a real brief intro. I apologize for the glasses. I'm not going to be able to, I'll put them up here for now. I'm not going to be able to read my notes without my glasses, but I do a lot of different crafting, but primarily these days I do cross stitch, and this WIP Parade will be only cross stitch. If you come back and watch a regular episode, you may see some knitting, and occasionally you may see a little sewing or some other things, but mostly cross stitch and a little bit of knitting or crochet thrown in. I am married. I have 2 adult children who are both married, and I have 4 grandchildren. I live in North Carolina, and I have way too many WIPs, but that's okay. I am very much a process stitcher. I enjoy the process of stitching, and while I like to have finishes, my theory is if it's not started, I can't finish it. So if it's started, it's a lot easier for me to pick up and work on it here and there. If you're a cross stitcher, you know that starting is a whole production in and of itself. So I currently have 113 WIPs, counting my New Year, New Start, which I will go through in this episode. If it gets too long, I may break it up into 2 episodes. We'll see how it goes. Before I begin, let me give you a few stats. I started 2020, and this is where I gotta use glasses, I apologize. I started 2025 with 93 projects at the beginning. I started a total of 30 projects in 2025. I finished 11, and at the end of the year, I had 112. I did a total of 194,909 stitches in 2025, over 307 days, 862 hours, and I worked on a total of 94 projects. My largest stitch count month was last January, where I did 23,726 stitches. My least month was September, where I did 12,690. And I averaged over the year 16,242 stitches a month. Excuse me. I also categorize my projects by size: mini, small, medium, large, and BAP, which stands for Big Ass Project for me, Big Awesome Project if you prefer. And I calculate those by adding the height and width together and dividing by 2. And then I have a range that indicates whether that makes it mini, small, medium, large, or BAP. The majority of my projects are larges with a significant number that are BAPs and mediums. I don't do a lot of small projects. I don't do a ton of small projects. But when I start a small project, I tend to finish a small project, so I don't carry a lot of small projects. Of the 112 WIPs, not counting the one that I started in 2026, I currently have 1 mini WIP. I had 0 at the start of the year. I currently have 2 small WIPs, and I had 0 of those at the beginning of 2025. Currently have 19 medium WIPs. 19 medium WIPs. I had 17 at the beginning. 63 large WIPs currently. I had 51 of those at the beginning, so you can see where most of my starts fell. And I have 27 BAPs, and I had 25 of those at the beginning of 2025. So, like I said, 63 of my 112 WIPs that I ended the year with were larges. So for that reason, I don't, 11 finishes in the year is not bad for me. I think that's less than last year. I don't remember, but that's fine with me. Anyway, we're going to start with the WIP Parade. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to record this kind of in chunks, and hopefully we'll get it all done and then edited. But it might, like I said, today's the 4th. It might be the 6th before it gets put up. But I do my WIPs chronologically from oldest to newest. Normally, if you watch one of my regular episodes, I will show you every project bag and tell you who makes it and all that stuff. I'm not going to do that today because with the number of WIPs that I have, that just makes the video a lot longer. I will make an effort to tell you what fabric I'm using. Sometimes I will remember to tell you floss. Sometimes I will remember to tell you whether it's 1/1, 2/2, that sort of stuff. I don't always remember to do that. There is a link below to my Google Drive spreadsheet, which lists all my WIPs and has most of that basic information for each one. So if I don't mention something you wanted to know, it may be on that spreadsheet. If it's not, you're welcome to send me an email or leave a comment below, and I will try to answer those questions. I will also, as I go along, if you're new, I do not have the physical patterns in my bags. As I talk, I will post a picture up of what the project will look like when it's finished. And then normally in a regular episode, I will show you a project of what it looked like the last time you saw it. But because this is a WIP Parade, the previous picture that I put up will be what it looked like at the end of 2024. Unless, of course, it was a 2025 start, in which case I don't have that. So that you can see the progress that I made over the year. I will also be giving you some stitch counts and how many stitches I did and that sort of stuff as we go. So let's get moving. We'll start, my oldest 2 WIPs are from 2016. My oldest WIP is Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. And I'll put a picture of what the whole thing looks like. However, I have cropped this for now at least. And I'll put a picture up of what my crop looks like, which is basically the whole left side of the piece from top to bottom. I still have enough fabric to do the whole thing. If I finish what I have cropped it to and want to keep going, I will. I'll just widen the crop. But for now, this is what I'm focusing on, and we'll see, because I'd like to finish some of this at some point in my lifetime. So I started this about July 31st, 2016. This was before I really tracked my stitching, when I was just getting back into cross stitch. I didn't say, again, if you're new here, I grew up cross stitching. I did my first project when I was, I think, about 7. That was in the 70s. And I cross-stitched regularly until probably my mid to late 20s, and then I kind of petered out and fell down the knitting and crochet and weaving and spinning rabbit hole. Picked it back up in 2016 for a bit, then kind of petered out again, and then really got back into it again about 2021. So, or maybe late 2020, I think. Yeah, there's some, I have some 2020, I have one 2020 WIP still. Anyway, so I started this about July 16th of 2016. This is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, excuse me, based on artwork by Amy Stewart. This year I did 4,872 stitches. I have done a total of 16,213 stitches of 94,920. That stitch count is what I have cropped it to. The entire project, I mean, the entire piece is like 300 and some thousand, I think. And so I am currently at 17.1% of my cropped version. For full coverage pieces, I do all of my full coverage, unless I tell you otherwise, 1/1 full cross on 25 count Lugana. Sometimes it will be gridded. That's an older piece before I knew about gridded fabric. And then I'm not going to show you this. If you want to see, if you'll go look at my, I think, end of October video, you'll see the whole thing. I still have it on, I still have Kingdom of Books on my WIP list. Excuse me. Kingdom of Books was my piece, my full coverage piece to finish in 2025. I finished all of the cross stitching and I'll put a picture up of what the project picture, and actually I'll put a picture in here of what it looks like by me holding it up. I started that about August of 2016, and I did finish all of the X's by the end of October. I am still slowly working on a little bit of backstitch. I just haven't worked on it like I should. So I am going to try, hopefully, to finish the backstitching by the end of this month. We'll see how it goes. Because, like I said, life's been lifing. So we'll see what time I have. But in 2025, I did 32,009 stitches on that. And so far, I have done a total of 69,004 stitches on that. Like I said, I'm still doing some backstitch. And so I am increasing that number as I count up the backstitch. But so if you watch one of my regular episodes, at some point again, you will see that with the backstitching and everything. So we will move into 2020. I only have one project left from 2020. And that is primarily because I just got back. The end of 2020 is when I really kind of got back into cross stitch heavily. This is another full coverage. This is called Across Winter Lake. I started this December 7th of 2020. And this is charted by Gecko Rouge, which is a company that does full coverage pieces, and they only sell kits. You cannot buy just the pattern. It's based on artwork by Joe Grundy. And here's where it currently is. There's a lot of white in this. So between these two areas of blue, a lot of the stitching is done. It's just very hard to see because it's shades of white. In 2025, I did 5,196 stitches on this. I have done a total of 12,384 of a total of 123,552 stitches in the piece, and I'm currently at 10%. Okay, that was the only 2020 WIP I have left, so we move into 2021. This is another full coverage piece. This is called Quarantine Cats. I started this February 25th of 2021. This is also charted by Heaven and Earth Designs based on artwork by Bridget Ashwood. And here's where it currently is. In 2025, I did 4,526 stitches. This is currently at 17,127 of 341,550. This is my largest WIP currently, and I am currently at 5%. So a long way to go on this one. I did look at cropping this one, but there's not really a good way to crop that gets the things I want from the picture. So I'm just going to keep plugging away at that one, and maybe one day it'll be finished. Maybe it won't. We'll see. I started a lot of full coverages in 2021-ish time frame, and then I think was it late 22, 23 maybe. I kind of reassessed, and a couple of them I started over as minis, and like that's when I cropped Treasure Hunt and that sort of stuff. So okay. Also from 2021, I apologize if you hear my cat scratching on the door. She really wants in. I tried to get her on camera before as I started recording this, and I'll put that at the end because she was not cooperative. She would not look at the camera. She just wanted to be up on my desk sitting, and I wouldn't let her. So, anyway, this is Tree of Magic by Barbara Anna. Well, let me show you what it'll look like when it's finished. I started this May 1st, 2021. By Barbara Anna Designs. I bought this as a kit from Nitka Moscow. It used to be only available as a kit. I believe it is currently available as just a pattern from Barbara Anna's website. I'm doing this on the 32 count fabric that came with the kit. And in 2025, I did 419 stitches on this. I've done a total of 6,976 of 10,803, and it is currently at 64.6%. So once I finish this, there's another row down here, and then it will be done. I had hoped to record my plans video before this video. That obviously didn't happen, but I will hopefully in the next week be recording kind of a combo sort of regular episode plans video if anybody's interested in how I'm going to work on my projects next year. But I'm going to, for the most part, not really talk about that in this video, other than maybe a couple random comments. We'll see. Excuse me. Next up is the Snow Queen, which is a pattern by Mirabilia. I started this May 30th of 2021. Sorry, I'm doing it on the called for 32 count Witchel in the Twilight Blue. And that's where I am. In 2025, I did 1,056 stitches. I have done 8,483 of 27,361. And I'm currently at 31%. If you are new, I get all my stitch counts when I have them from Markup RXP. Even a paper copy I will scan and pull into Markup. So for the most part, they are accurate. There are a couple of instances where they may not be fully accurate, and if I think about it, I'll try to explain. I'll try to mention that at the time, but at least gives you an idea of where I am. Okay, next up. This is Christmas at Hawker & Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. I started this June 10th of 2021. And I am doing this on 27 count Linda Even Weave, the colorway Whisper. I am doing this 1/1 using the DMC conversion. I am only going to be doing the top 9 squares. I'm not doing the whole last row. In 2025, I did 514 stitches on this. I've done a total of 17,495 of 47,636, which is how many I'm doing. That does not count the final row. And so I am 36.7% done with the portion that I plan to do. Okay, next up. This is Halloween Quaker by Leela Studio. I started this June 30th. Let's see, I'll put those there so I don't get the glare. I seem to be doing okay kind of reading my notes. Started this June 30th of 2021. I am, get it right. I'm doing this on a 40 count Fiber on a Whim Heather, and in 2025 I did 589 stitches. I have done 9,216 of 18,055, and I'm currently at 51%. Okay, next up. This is Winter Cabin. This is a Dimensions kit that I started October 6th, 2021. This was my birthday start in 2021. I'm doing it on the kit fabric with kit floss, as called for, with 2, 3, 4 strands, half crosses, all that stuff. The full Dimensions experience. That is, I believe, the full width of the piece. And in 2025, this is a 16 count gray Ada is the fabric. It's the kit fabric. In 2025, I did 2,296 stitches. I have done 10,173 stitches. I do not know exactly what percentage or the total stitch count on this. This is the one that I still have. I've scanned it in and I use good notes, but I have not pulled it into markup. There are so many half stitches and I count 2 of those to be 1. I'm not sure the exact stitch count. I would say I'm maybe about 25% done, if I had to guess. Next up is Moonlight Sampler. This is by the Blue Flower. I started this on November 15th of 2021. Sorry. In case you haven't noticed, I don't iron any of this because that's just too much effort. It's taken me most of the day to make my notes. This is what it currently looks like. In 2025, I did 783 stitches. I'm currently at 11,683 of 22,726, and I'm at 51.4%. Oh, I'm doing this on 40 count hand dye bow Rolanda Dove Gray. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. With the called for floss. If I don't mention it, I'm generally using the called for floss. Or if it's charted in like NPI but has a DMC conversion or something like that, I may be using the DMC, but and the last 2021 project is Winter Rose Manor by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. I started this December 22nd of 2021. I'm doing it on a 36 count XJU design milk coffee. That house is outlined, but it's kind of hard to see without the fill-in. In 2025, I did 908 stitches for a total of 6,014 of 16,130. So I'm currently at 37.3% on this. Okay, that takes us to 2022. My New Year, New Start in 2022 was Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. This is a big piece of fabric because it's a big piece. I'm doing this on 40 count antique white. I did not work on this at all in 2025. It is currently at 11,528 of 77,265. So it is 14.9%. So that looks just like it did at the end of 2024. And if there was no progress in 2025, I will not put up a picture comparing it. So, because I have so many WIPs, I don't always hit all my WIPs every year. But I do try not to go more than a year without touching them. So, like, there were several WIPs that at the end of 2024 I did not get to. I made sure that I at least put 500 stitches in those in 2025. And there are 20-some WIPs that I did not touch in 2025 that I will make sure that I touch in 2026. Excuse me. I apologize for sniffling and coughing. I had a cold over Christmas and I'm still kind of draining from it. This is Sleepy Hollow by Glendon Place. this is where it is. And I am doing this on 28 count Picture This Plus Nocturne. I started it January 8th of 2022. In 2025, I did 1,462 stitches. Total, I have done 8,630 of 19,366, and I'm currently at 44.6%. Next up is Winter White Santa by Mirabilia. I started this January 15th of 2022. I'm doing it on a 32 count XG design in the colorway Little Dove. And in 2025, I did 2,911 stitches. I have done 7,750 of 29,390, and this is currently at 26.4%. Next up is Cardinal Points. I started this March 8th of 2022. This is a design by Long Dog Samplers. It was done in what's the word I'm looking for? It was a collaboration between Long Dog and Gentle Arts threads. I'm doing it on a 36 count white Zygarde with the called for Gentle Arts threads. In 2025, I did 1,458 stitches on this. It is at 5,816, excuse me, of 20,922, and I'm currently at 27.8%. Next up is A Tisket a Tasket by Rosewood Manor. I started this May 1st of 2022. I started this as a stitch along with Pam from Stitch New England, who also has a YouTube channel, Stitching in the Land of Good Enough, although she has not posted a video in a while. I think maybe she finished hers, I don't remember. I'm doing this on a 36 count Be Stitch Me fabric in the colorway Not Another Sampler. Sorry, trying to get the light right here. This has a lot of color changes. I'm doing this actually 2/2, even though it's on 36 count, because I really kind of wanted my stitches plump for this one. In 2025, I did 1,552 stitches. I have done 7,466 of 21,358, and I'm currently at 35%. You can see my little thing that holds all my needles, because this really is a lot of color changes, and one of those is kind of not easy to like count to a different place. So you, rather than threading needles all the time, I just have a lot of needles threaded. Excuse me. Next up is Let Love Rain by Teresa Kogut. I started this May 7th of 2022. I am doing it on a 40 count Zygarde linen and the colorway Flax. I am doing the called for, except that I have pulled 2 more blues and I'm replacing some of the browns with blue. Like, for example, the words are supposed to be brown, and I'm doing them in a blue. So there's a few places where there's brown that I'm adding more blue just to give it a little bit more blue to it. I did not touch this at all in 2025, so this is currently where it was at the end of 2024. I've done 5,256 of 44,003 stitches, and I'm at 11.9%. Move that light that's causing the glare and see if that helps. Next up is Kringles by Little House Needleworks. I started this May 21st of 2022. I'm doing it on the called for 30 count Legacy Parisian Gray with the called for floss. I did 597 stitches on this year. Mainly all that white across the top and some of that white window is largely what I did. I've done 4,100 of 29,209 stitches, and this is currently at 14%. Next up is a smaller full coverage. This is called Blue Ridge. It's charted by CrossStitch.com based on artwork by Derek McCrea. I say McCrea. It's MCCREA, I believe. I forgot to write it down. I started this May 28th of 2022. This year in 2025, I did 3,324 stitches. I've done a total of 7,388 of 37,632, and it is currently at 9.6%. Sorry, 19.6%. Next up is Rejoice Evermore. This is by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. I started this July 10th of 2022. I did not touch this in 2025. I'm doing it on a 40 count R&R Barb's blend. So I've done a total of 2,807 of stitches of 23,044, and this is currently at 12.2%. Next up is Lady Liberty by Twin Peak Primitives. I started this July 1 of 2022. This was originally a stitch along with Pam from Just Keep Stitching. And I'm doing this on a 36 count Mystic in the colorway Pearl. You can't really see it, but it has a slightly green tinge to it, very light green. I did a total of 652 stitches in 2025 on this. I'm at 7,269 of 12,847. Sorry, I couldn't tell if it was a 4 or 9. And I'm currently at 56.6% on this. I am doing this in the called for, except that on the flag, instead of the couple of different shades of red it called for, I used, is it 815? Is that right? 816? Is that the one that's kind of variegated? 115, that's it. 115 is the kind of slightly variegated red DMC I used instead of the two different shades of red it called for. In part because one of the reds it called for was 22, which was a little orangey. So, Okay, next up is Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs. I started this July 3rd of 2022. I am doing it, sorry, I got an itch in my eye. I am doing this on 36 count Forbidden Fiber in the colorway Dovetail. And I have done a, oh boy, this one's really wrinkled. I did not touch this at all in 2025, but I am doing a color conversion from Stash. The oranges and browns, none of these are called for flosses. When I started this, I completely kitted it up from Stash. The oranges and browns, I tried to stick to the same color, but I have added, I don't know if you can tell, like these little flowers. I've added like a slate blue gray, and then I've added more of a deeper blue there. Some of the grays and blacks are more of a blue gray in my version. So I did not touch this in 2025. I'm at 5,363 of 10,116 stitches. I'm at 53%. And another one I did not touch in 2025. This is Sir Thomas by Glendon Place. I started this July 17th of 2022. I'm doing it on a 32 count smoky white. And I am currently at 4,047 of 17,105. That stitch count does not count all the corner around that edges because I am not doing that. I am just doing the turkey. So I am at 23.7% of the portion that I'm doing. Almost done with 2022, just a couple more. Next up is Haunted Library by Lola Crow. Sorry, my nose keeps itching. I started this July 22nd of 2022 as part of the stitch along, but I knew I would not keep up with it. I'm doing it on a 40 count Fortnite Fabrics. Fortnite Fabrics is no longer available. In 2025, I did 5,300 stitches. It's currently at 12,250 of 16,895, which is 72.5%. Next is Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews. I started this November 9th of 2022. I'm doing it on 40 count Atomic Ranch in the colorway Vapors. I am doing it with the called for NPI, except that my butterflies and that snail, some of the, are I pulled some bluer gray NPIs than some of the called for. So that their butterflies and my snail and stuff are a little bit bluer, which looks more like what the pattern picture looks like to me than what the NPIs they called for were. I did 505 stitches in 2025, currently at 5,356 of 18,916, so I'm at 28.3% on this. And the last one of 2022 is Moons Out, Brooms Out by Autumn Lane Stitchery. This is another one that I did not touch in 2025. I started this December 11th of 2022, and I'm doing it on a 36 count to die for fabrics in the colorway Deja Blue. I have done 3,591 of 13,242 stitches. So it is currently at 27.1%. So that is everything up through 2022. I'm going to pause you while I gather the 2023 whips, and I will be back. Okay, y'all, I'm sweating. So, you can see a little bit of a stack here. I have like 3 stacks here. 2023 is my biggest year as far as whips. I mean, the year that I have the most whips from. 2023 was the year that I really just kind of went hog wild starting things. So yeah, I think like 50 of my whips, like half of my whips are from 2023. So, let me find the beginning of my 2023 list. So we'll get started. First up for 2023 is Dragonfly Lace Mandala. This is the first chatelaine that I started. This is my New Year, New Start on January 1st of 2023. Where's the top? That's the top. I am doing this on a 32 count Zweigart Silver Moon. And I did 417 stitches on this year. I did have to frog a decent amount up in that purple. I did the wrong color. I went to the chatelaine retreat in Charlotte in July, and so I worked on this then. I've done 3,023 stitches of 36,657-ish. I have not decided yet if I'm doing the dragonflies 1/1. That will affect the stitch count if I do. But I am at 8.29%, assuming I do it all over 2. We'll see. Let's see if I can put those down in a little bit of order this time. Next up is September Sapphires by Carolyn Manning. I started this January 6th of 2023. I'm doing it on a 32 count Blue Whisper. This is full coverage, but I'm doing a colored fabric because I probably will have a little bit of the fabric showing when I frame it or whatever I do with it. I did 671 stitches on this. I'm currently at 4,014 of 35,721, and that's 11.2%. Sorry about that sticking in the, there we go, maybe that's better. I apologize if you're wearing headphones for all the zippers, but I gotta zip it back up or I'm gonna lose stuff. There's too much of it. Next up is Dark Tower. This is a full coverage piece by Licka Cross Stitch. That's like L''Ka. I cannot find this website anymore, so if she's moved somewhere, I don't know where. I started this February 26th of 2023. It is full coverage. In 2025, I did 3,076 stitches. I've done 5,722 of 49,599, and I'm currently at 11.5%. I am going to have to figure out something. I realized when I was working on this last, and I was kind of filling him in, in the picture, there's like, some birds in the background. I realized that some of that is done over 1, and I'm already doing this 1/1 on 25 count. So I'm gonna have to kind of fudge that a bit, but so far at least it appears to just be a couple of small things like that that are kind of in the background, so hopefully it won't be a big deal. Next up is Minnie the Wool Shop. I had originally started the full size of the Wool Shop, and this is one of the ones that I reassessed and decided that I was never going to get the full thing done, and I really did want this one done at some point, and the mock-up of the Minnie looked pretty good to me. So this is Charted by Hade. artwork, based on artwork by Lucy Pittaway. She is no longer with Heaven and Earth Designs. I started this March 2nd of 2023. In 2025, I did 3,967 stitches. I've done a total of 6,371 of 75,625, and it is at 8.4%. I have to pause you and let the cat out. Okay, next up is a peacock, a unicorn, a badger by the Scarlet House. I started this April 29th of 2023. I'm doing it on 40 count Atomic Ranch in the colorway Mellow Stone. I am doing this full coverage. And I think I told you I started this April 29th, but if I didn't, I just told you again. I had to sew this is a fat quarter and my margins are tight, so I sewed some fabric on to get it in the Q-snap. I'm doing this full coverage, but with the DMC. I did, in 2025, I did 3,652 stitches. I've done 8,841 of 110,685. And I'm currently at 8%. So that is not the full width. There's more fabric over here, but I don't think I'm going to go quite as wide as, I don't know. I'm not sure how far I am from the edge on that. I know a lot of people have dyed fabric, that dark green, not to have to just stitch all that background. But to me, that piece, what I like about that piece is it looks very much like a tapestry. And to me, that means the background being stitched. So while it may take me forever, that's the look I want. So, and then I have Every Opening Flower by With Thy Needle and Thread. I started this May 6th of 2023. I'm doing it on a 36 count Atomic Ranch in the colorway Palomino. I did not work on this in 2025. And I have done 1,063 stitches of 15,173, and it is currently at 7%. What's next? I'm trying to figure out which stack to go to next. Next up is Winter Quakers by Rosewood Manor. I started this on May 13th of 2023, doing it on a 28 count Picture This Plus Dwarf, which I believe is the called for, and I'm doing it with the called for Valdani floss. I did 801 stitches, and I've done 1,896 of 13,055, and I'm currently at 14.5%. Next up is And a Forest Grew, also by Rosewood Manor. I started this June 10th of 2023. I'm doing this on a 40 count coloring cotton in the colorway Cottage Stone. Ooh. And I did 522 stitches this year. I've done 3,218 of 24,569. Currently at 13.1%. I am using the DMC, and I will be changing the quote in the big tree. I like the one in the little tree, but I have not decided fully what I'm changing the big tree quote to. Next up is October Quilt. This is by Paula Vaughn from her A Quilt for All Seasons. I have grand plans of doing all 12 of these eventually and making a quilt out of them. We will see if that ever happens. I started this on June 21st of 2023. I'm doing it on a 32 count antique white Lugana. And I did not stitch on this in 2025. I have done 1,589 of 14,787 stitches. It's currently at 10.7%. So if I'm going to do all 12 of these, I need to get working on them. Next up is not cross stitch. This is a counted needlepoint project that I include in my WIPs. This is Barn Quilt by Nancy's Needle. I started this June 30th of 23. And I did 874 stitches in 2025. I filled in basically that whole square. So this is needlepoint, but it is counted needlepoint. So instead of the picture being painted on the canvas, you follow a chart like you do in cross stitch as to where to put the stitches. And I actually prefer counted needlepoint over painted needlepoint, although I have done some painted needlepoint and may have brought another project this fall that I haven't started yet. Where am I on my list? Next up is Christmas Moose. This is a Panna kit. I started it July 25th of 2023. I am doing it on the kit fabric with the kit floss, all the kit things. It's a 16 count Aida. This is where I am. And I did 515 stitches, and I'm at 1,531 of 10,762, so 14.2% total. Several people have named their moose. I haven't, well, no names really stuck with mine yet. We'll see. Next up is Summer Quaker by Leela Studio. I started this August 1st of 2023. Trying to figure out which way's up. I'm doing it on a 40 count Barefoot Needle Arts fabric in the colorway Sea Mist. I'm doing this one with the called for floss, which I believe is all DMC. I did not work on this at all in 2025. So I'm currently at 1,833 of 28,239, which is 6.5%. Next up is Night Walk Down by the Blue Flower. I started this August 11th of 2023. I'm doing it on a 20 count Fox and Rabbit oyster shell. And again, I did not work on this one in 2025. And I have done 1,098 stitches of 17,349, currently at 6.3%. I am doing this in all the called for, except that the called for the dress was a limited edition, which you can't get anymore. So I've found, I think I've got like 2 flosses in here as possibles for when I get there. And also the called for her hair is it her hair or the cat? I don't know. There's a called for one other called for, which is like cinders or something, which doesn't look right in some places. So I'll be changing that when I get there. Next up, this is Minnie the 10th, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, based on artwork by Mandy Manzano. I started this August 13th of 2023. It's another full coverage. And in 2025, I did 3,930 stitches. I've done 8,333 of 76,700, and this is currently at 10.9%. Next up is Sugar Skull Cat. I started this August 14th of 2023. This is by Stitchora. It was in the Just Cross Stitch Halloween 2023 edition. Excuse me. I am doing it on a 36 count fabric from Jody from the Steel City Stitchers that does not have a color name. I did not work on this in 2025, and I have done 2,431 of 8,273, and I'm currently at 29.4%. Excuse me. Next up is the Equality Sampler by Plum Street Samplers. I started this August 19th of 2023. I'm doing it on a 36 count coloring cotton in the color Cottage Stone. I did not work on this in 2025. That is the full width. Yep, right there. I've done 1,778 of 15,210 stitches. It's currently at 11.7%. Next up is Scary Sampler by Heartstring Samplery. I started this September 1 of 2023. I'm doing it on a 40 count Be Stitch Me Mocha. And I did 3,234 stitches in 2025. Currently at 3,868 of 26,794, which is 14.4%. That one got a decent amount of work this year because of Gridiron Grind. Next up is Halloween at Harcorn Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. I started this September 2nd of 2023. I am doing this on 40 count Fiber on a Whim Heather. And I finished block 1. I'm working on block 2. In 2025, I did 1,015 stitches. I've done 6,276 of, I have 71,500, but I'm not sure that I have completely set up all 12 squares of this. So that stitch count may not be completely accurate, which means my 8.8% may not be completely accurate either. On my hawk runs, I tend to, because hawk runs, the color assignments to the symbols change from square to square. I tend to just set up each square and mark up as I get to it and work them square to square. So since mine are scanned patterns, sometimes if the scan is not clear, markup will read squares as symbols that are not. And so I clean that up right before I work on each square. So that may be counting more stitches than there actually are in the pattern, or maybe not, I don't know. Now we're to the big stack. Next up is Schoolhouse Rock by Black Needle Society. This was a stitch along in 2023, which I started at the time, but I knew I would not keep up with. I started it September 3rd of 2023. I'm doing it on a 36 count Be Stitch Me in the colorway Ocean Blue. This is not completely full coverage, but the bottom half is. The top half's got a little bit of space in it. I did 3,953 stitches. I'm currently at 9,245 of 16,284, and I'm at 56.8%. I just let the cat out, and now she's beginning to come back in again. Where am I? Next up is Happy Campers. This is by the Blue Flower. I started this September 4th of 2023. I'm doing it on a I started this September 4th. Yeah, September 4th. I'm doing it on 40 count Be Stitch Me even weave. There's no name for the colorway. I did not work on this in 2025. I've done 1,379 of 20,119 stitches, so it is at 6.9%. Next up is Halloween Sampler by Teresa Kogut. I started this on October 1st of 2023. I'm doing this on a 40 count Fiber on a Whim in the colorway Cypress. I did not work on this in 2025. I am doing this with the Vicki Clayton silk conversion. I have done 1,784 of 52,090 stitches, and I'm at 3.4%. Next up is Nightingale by Mirabilia. This was my birthday start in 2023, so October 6th of 2023. And I gotta figure out what's right side up. I think I have top marked somewhere. Hold on. Oh, I thought I did. Oh, I think it's that. I think that's right. I think so. Doing it on a 32 count Under the Sea Fabrics in Sea Witch. Believe that's the right way up. I did 1,034 stitches. I've done 2,137 of 22,622, and I'm currently at 9.4%. Next up is Sleeping Princess, which is also a Mirabilia. I started both of these at the Queen City Stitch Retreat in 2023. I started this October 7th of 2023. And I think that's right. I am doing this on a 28 count Grace Notes fabric in the colorway Barbie. And I did 1,030 stitches. I'm currently at 3,714 of 41,505, which is 8.9%. Next up is Jack's Bash by Plum Street Samplers. I started this October 13th of 2023. I'm doing it on a 36 count R&R Abecedarian, however you say that word. And I did 572 stitches in 2025. I'm currently at 1,072 of 13,247, which is about 8.1%. This has a decent amount of 1/1, which is not reflected yet in those totals. Next up is The Old Graveyard by Thistles. I started this October 14th of 2023. And I'm doing it on a 36 count Be Stitch Me Gray Magic. I did 566 stitches in 2025, and I'm currently at 1,255 of 7,589. So it is at 16.5%. Next up is Winter Kitty, which is a full coverage charted by Artisy. I started this October 27th of 2023. In 2025, I did 1,345 stitches. I've currently done 1,946 of 34,600. It is currently at 5.6%. Next up is Midnight Watch by Blackbird Design. I started this November 2nd of 2023. Excuse me. I'm doing it on 32 count atomic wrench pompous reed. I am going to modify this in that I am removing the alphabet. And so I'm bringing the bottom portion up to meet it. In 2025, I did 539 stitches. I have done 1,095 of 9,568, which reflects the stitches I'm actually doing. And I'm currently at 11.4%. Next up is Spooktacular Party by Counting Puddles. I started this November 3rd, 2023. I am doing it on a 32 count Fox and Rabbit Black Swan. It is very, very wrinkled. Sorry, I'm trying to get it so you can see. In 2025, I did 862 stitches on this. I'm currently 1,411 of 14,254, which is 9.9%. Next up is Let Freedom Ring by Leela Studio. I started this November 9th of 2023. I am doing it on 40 count Picture This Plus vellum. And that is the full width. Now, let's see if I can get that centered a little better so you can see it. In 2025, I did 15,768 stitches. I'm currently at 18,938 of 36,590, which is 51.8%. And I know I said I'm not talking about goals, but if you've watched my other episodes, you know this is the project I'm trying to finish by July 4th of 2026. I did not get to it in December. Next up is Clouds Over Virlande by Ink Circles. I started this November 16th of 2023. I'm doing it on 40 count Atomic Ranch Embellish. I am doing this in the called for Belle Soie, except that the blackish color it called for, I'm doing in like a really deep purple. And I have removed the alphabet that is at the top. So I brought that sky down to the cliffs and left the alphabet out. I did not work on this at all in 2025. So I have done 2,688 of 27,588 stitches, and I'm currently at 9.7% of what I'm doing. Next up is Coming to America by With Thy Needle and Thread. I started this November 17th of 2023. I'm doing it on a 40 count Zweigart Vintage Country Mocha, which I believe is the called for, with the called for floss. I did not touch this in 2025, so I have done 3,065 stitches of 18,206, and I'm currently at 16.8%. Next up is 272 Words by Primrose Needleworks. I started this November 19th, 2023, which was the 150th anniversary of the Gettysburg Address. Is my math right? I think that's right. I'm doing it on 40 count Zweigart Vintage Country Mocha. Nope, sorry, wrong one. 40 count Grace Notes Molly. And I did 497 stitches. I've done 2,327 of 19,334, which is 12%. Next up is Native American Hummingbird Maiden by Joan Elliott. I started this December 1st of 2023. Doing it on a 28 count Lugana Atomic Ranch in a color Vanilla Cream. I did not work on this in 2025. So I have done 1,085 of 29,516 stitches. It is at 3.7%. Sorry, I lost my place on my paper. Next up is Santa's Moonlit Ride by Counting Puddles. I started this December 4th of 23. I'm doing it on a 32 count Atomic Ranch Crocus. I did 528 stitches. I have done 981 of 22,960. It's currently at 4.3%. I don't know for that one, and also for Spooktacular Party, I don't know that those stitch counts are completely accurate because they both have a lot of backstitch as background. So I count 2 back stitches as 1 stitch. So I'm sure Markup is counting each square that has a back stitch as a stitch. And so that number may be a little less, because I don't know if I've cleaned those up. Where am I? Okay, next up is Woodland Santas by Prairie Schooler. There are 4 of these. I have only started 1. I started this December 7th of 2023. I have a giant piece of fabric. I'm doing it on 32 counts Weigart Platinum. And I did 652 stitches. I've done 1,749 of 5,045 for this particular Woodland Santa, which is 34.67% of this one. There are 3 others that I haven't started, and so that stitch count does not include those. And I do plan to do all 4 of them, because I saw when I went to StitchCon in 2022 in Keepsakes, they had all 4 of these done, and they had them framed in like a window, you know, an older window frame with glass 4 pane. And I would like to do something similar to that. Next up is Santa Portraits by Carol Emmers. This was in Just Cross Stitch November, December 2011. I started this December 10th of 2023. And I'm doing it on 32 count Zweigart Flax. And I've only started 1 of them. He looks kind of creepy because he doesn't have eyeballs yet. I did not work on this in 2025. I have done 1,084 stitches. I have of 19,549, but I'm not sure that's quite right, because I don't know, again, that I've cleaned up anything more than just this one. We'll see. We're on the last page of 2023. Next up is Santa Stops Here by With Thy Needle and Thread. I started this on December 15th of 2023. I'm doing it on a 36 count Be Stitch Me in Hot Cocoa. I did 1,079 stitches this year on this. I'm currently at 1,593 of 11,740. Which is 13.6%. Next up is Autumn is as Joyful by Leela Studio. I started this December 20th of 2023. I'm doing it on a 40 count Be Stitch Me in the colorway Lunar. And I did not work on this in 2025. I have done 1,439 of 26,805, and I'm currently at 5.4%. This is Winter Comes by Heartstring Samplery. Started this December 21st of 2023. I got this as a kit from, I think this was a Homespun Needleworks exclusive for a while. The pattern is available now, I believe. I'm doing it on the 36 count Lakeside Vintage Wood Smoke. I am doing the version that has the words. And I did 532 stitches on this. I'm at 1,092 of 13,513, which is 8.1%. Next up is Winter's Peace Sampler by Artful Offerings. Excuse me. I started this December 22nd of 23. I'm doing it on a 40 count Seraphim in Winter White. In 2025, I did 744 stitches. I'm currently at 1,250 of 11,927. So I'm at 10.5%. Next up is Winter Moon by Plum Street Samplers. I started this December 26th of 2023. I'm doing it on 40 count Fox and Rabbit Saltbush. I got this as a kit as well. I did 1,095 stitches in 2025. I'm currently at 1,606 of 19,513, which is 8.2%. Next up is Kringle's Tree Farm by Luminous Fiber Arts. I started this December 27th of 2023. I'm doing it on a 32 count Atomic Ranch Lugana in the colorway Storm. And I did 549 stitches in this year. I'm currently at 1,067 of 6,474. Which is 16.5%. Next up is Frederick the Literate, which is a Dimensions kit. I started this December 29th of 2023. I am doing it on the 14 count Black Ada that came in the kit, with the kit floss, all the kit called for. This is a Dimensions that does not have a lot of, this is mostly two threads over one square. It doesn't have a lot of half stitches or anything. And I did 627 stitches. I'm currently at 1,167 of 23,204, which is 5%. Next is North Pole by Kathy Barrick. I started this December 30th of 2023. I'm doing it on 40 count Be Stitch Me and Sugar Cream Pie. In 2025, I did 531 stitches. I'm currently at 1,050 of 11,349, which is 9.3%. And I am doing this with the called for MPI, except that I have changed the called for red to a more true red than the orangey red that it called for. And last but not least for 2023 is Bluebird of Happiness by JBW Designs. I started this December 31st of 2023, doing it on a 36 count Atomic Ranch Pampas Reed. And in 2025, I did 346 stitches. I've done a total of 591 of 4,574, which is 12.9%. So that is all of 2023. I'm going to reset and I'll be back with the 2024 and the 2025s. Okay, we're getting there, but we still got to think about another 40 projects. Now we are at 2024. And my New Year, New Start that year was Lady of the Flag by Mirabilia. I started this January 1st of 2024. And I'm doing it on 30 count Primitive Hair We the People. This is where I currently am. I am doing the skin 1/1. In 2025, sorry, I've got 3 stacks again, and that one's in my way. I did 1,108 stitches. I've done a total of 3,869 of 33,487, which is not completely accurate because of the 1/1 I'm doing. I'm currently at 11.6%. And I am doing the blue conversion on the dress, and I have doing the brunette conversion on the hair. Sorry, I got a fluff or something in my mouth. Next up was my Leap Day start in 2024. This is Anzac by Long Dog Samplers. I started this on February 29th of 2024. I'm doing it on a 40 count Lars fabric in the colorway Brain Fog. This is where it currently is. So I've got 3 corners. Oops, sorry. Doing it all in Silks For You, primarily in a variegated. I didn't write down the numbers, but I work on this most months. So if you watch one of our regular episodes, I will tell you the numbers, and also the Google spreadsheet that's linked below has them. I'm doing it primarily in a variegated in the background, but then a variegated green for the islands. And as you can see, there's a little bit of yellow and a brighter blue in a couple of areas. The yellow is actually going to be Stitch Me Silk. The others are all Silks For You. I did, in 2025, I did 8,081 stitches. I've currently done 14,608 of 29,609. I'm currently at 49.3%. So still on track to finish this by Leap Day of 2028. Next up is Spring Quaker by Leela Studio. I started this March 19th of 2024. I'm doing it on a 40 count Atomic Ranch Winter Mint. I did not work on this in 2025. I am doing a color conversion. Most of the browns, at least around in the Quakers, I am converting to purples. And I have just pulled several purples, and I'm kind of winging it where I put where. So we'll see how it goes. Brown was just not a very spring-like color to me. So I know a lot of people have changed it to greens, but I thought purple was springy. And I did not work on it in 2025. I've done 1,069 stitches of 22,650. Currently at 4.7%. I don't know. Yeah, that's a little bit better representation of the color of fabric, but it's not quite picking it up right. Next up is Huckleberry Farm by the Blue Flower. Sorry, I got an itchy nose. I started March 31st of 2024. I am doing this on 40 count Fiber on a Whim Kunzite. I did not work on this in 2025. I've done 2,027 of 19,550 stitches, and I'm currently at 10.4%. Next up is North Carolina by Lifted Spirit. This is a small full coverage that I started on April 14th of 2024. I did not work on it in 2025. That is the full width of the piece. I have done 3,000 of 18,172 stitches, and I'm currently at 16.5%. This is one of those kind of travel poster looking pieces. Next up is No Time Like the Present by Modern Folk Embroidery. This was the stitch along a couple years ago. I don't remember which year. I started this May 4th of 2024. And I'm doing it on a 40 count antique white. I did 1,005 stitches in 2025. And I have done 1,506 of 35,596. I'm currently at 4.2%. I did change, the lighter color is supposed to be in around this border, but I changed that to the darker color because I like the way it looked better. And next up is Reaching Skyward, also by Modern Folk Embroidery. Also a stitch along from a couple years ago. Started at May 18th of 2024, and I'm doing it also on 40 count antique white. I did not work on this in 2025. I've only done 515 stitches of 47,789, which is 1.1%. I did the, I think it was 2021 stitch along that was Fruits of Plenty, and I did that one as a stitch along in 2021 with, I think this is 939 is the dark color and a lighter blue. And so both of this one and No Time Like the Present, I'm doing 939 again on the darker color and just changing up the lighter color so that they will all kind of not match, but kind of go together when they're done. Next up is When Santa's Away by With Thy Needle and Thread. I started this May 25th of 2024, doing it on a 32 count Fabrics by Stephanie in the colorway Toasted Almond. I did not work on this in 2025. I've done 572 stitches of 3,410, currently at 16.8%. And next up is Amid Amish Life. This was a 3-part in Cross Stitch and Country Crafts years ago. I don't remember what year. I didn't write it down. Let's see. I've got it here. 1987. It's in 3 different issues. It's a triptych. I am doing it all as one piece. I think it is also available in a book, which is the Best of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts or something like that. I have the 3 magazines. I started this June 8th, 2024, and I'm doing it on a 32 count Zweigart Lagana in the color light blue, and I'm doing it all as all one piece. In 2025, I did 988 stitches on this. I'm currently at 2,022 of 33,835, which is 6%. Next up is Land That I Love by Twisted Willow Designs. This was in Just Cross Stitch magazine, summer 24 issue. This is another small coverage that I started on July 5th of 2024. Did not work on this in 2025. And that is the full width of the piece. I have done 1,276 of 14,980 stitches, and I'm currently at 8.5%. Next up is Quilting ABCs by Erica Michaels. I started this October 4th of 2024. I'm doing it on 40 count Seraphim Antique Lace. I did not work on this in 2025. That is the back. And which way is the up? I think that's up. So I have done 508 of 22,560 stitches, which is 2.3%. Next up is Southern Land by Al Forrest Embroidery. This was my birthday start in 2024. So October 6, 2024, I'm doing it on a 40 count Atomic Ranch in, can't tell if that, without my glasses if that's the front or the back. I think it's the front. Yeah. 40 count Atomic Ranch Vanilla Cream, and I did not work on this in 2025, so I am using the Alforest floss for this. I've done 575 of 19,126 stitches, so it is at 3%. Next up is Wood Witch by Raven Stitchcraft. I started this October 26th of 2024 as a stitch along with Beth the Steadfast Stitcher, Dawn from Enchanting Stitches, I think, and several other people. We started it on a Zoom. Doing it on 40 count Atomic Ranch Pistachio. And in 2025, I put in 518 stitches. I'm currently at 1,529 of 17,244, which is 8.9%. Next up is Stitchy Witchy Bell Pull by Stitchy Pros. I started this October 31st of 2024. I'm doing it on 40 count Barefoot Needle Arts Black Pearl. I did change the colors on this slightly. It's supposed to be a black for the dark and then a purple, a purplish for the lighter. And I'm doing like a really deep purple and a variegated purple. I'm doing on, I told you what I was doing it on. I did 862 stitches in 2025. I'm currently at 1,495 of 8,242. So I'm at 18.1%. That top square is done. Next up is Boreal Colors, which is a full coverage. It's charted by Stitches So Beautiful, based on artwork by Eder Jose Rosa. I started this December 1 of 2024. I did not work on this in 2025. So I have done 2,220 of 135,000 stitches. I'm at 1.6%. And the last project for 2024 is Log Cabin Christmas by Little House Needleworks. Started this December 25th of 2024, doing it on a 40 count Zweigart Raw. And I am doing all 9 of them on one piece of fabric. Did not work on this in 2025. So I have done the first square, and that is 1,659 of 15,927 stitches, so it's 10.4%. So now we are into the 2025 starts. So all of these, none of these will have before pictures since they were all new starts in 2025. My New Year New Start in 2025 was Touching the Autumn Sky by Mirabilia. I started on January 1st, 2025. I'm doing it on a 32 count Atomic Ranch Lugana in the color Forget Me Not. And I did 2,026 stitches of 10,995, and I'm currently at 18.4%. This is one of the smaller Mirabilias, stitch count wise. Next up is Peace on Earth by Leela Studio. This was the 4th of the seasonal Quakers that she's done. Started this April 5th of 2025. I'm doing it on XShoe Designs in Clouds and Shadows. And I did 1,636 stitches of 26,393, and that's 6.2%. I was glad once I saw this one that I did my spring in purples instead of greens, because this one is a lot of greens. So next up is Cabin in the Woods by Flossabilities. I started this May 3rd of 2025, doing it on a 32 count Barefoot Needle Arts Stormy Seas. And I did 578 stitches of 8,979, and that is 6.4%. That is, shows up, the fabric looks really variegated in the camera. It's not quite as variegated in real life. Next up is Move Forward in Love by Modern Folk Embroidery. I started this June 1st of 2025. I'm doing it on a 28 count Mystic Fabrics Purple Posies. I'm doing it with Callford DMC, except that I am doing a variegated Cosmo floss around the outside border. And I did 1,301 of 9,025 stitches. I'm currently at 14.4%. Next up is Bewitching Pumpkin, which is a Mill Hill kit. I started this June 27th of 25. There's really no excuse for the fact that it's not done. I just haven't worked on it. I did 664 stitches, which is approximately 46.1%. I don't have a actual, this was one that my Mill Hills are one thing that I do on paper and just highlight, so because they're portable. Next up is Water Lily Beaded Tile. This was the retreat pattern for the Chatelaine retreat. It's by Katie Ten Eyck, who designs as Sosna Designs. I started this on July 10th of 2025, doing it on a 28 count Zweigart Ice Blue. And I did 292 stitches of 9,504. I'm not sure that's exactly right because those fish are 1/1. So I'm not sure my total stitch count is right, but that's what I've got right now. Next up is Polar Beauty Mandala. Excuse me. I started this at the Chatelaine retreat July 11th of 2025. It's at Chatelaine. I'm doing it on a 32 count Oak Crown Studio Lugana in the colorway Clear Skies. Where is my, this is not going to look like much. So I I was going to do this over 2, and I got talked into doing the middle as the 1/1. And so I started in the very, very middle and worked my way up to the top left of the center 1/1. So I have done 399 stitches of the 15,051 stitches that are in the center as a 1/1, which is 2.7% of the center. I have no idea. This is one of the chatelaine patterns that was done in pieces, and there's not a single full chart that you can all put together. You've got to do the center, and then you do a border around, and there's another chart that's the border around, and so it will be done piece by piece. Next up is my Rhodes workshop from the Chatelaine Retreat. There were 4 specialty stitches that they did little workshops on, and everybody got a kit of one of the specialty stitches. I got Rhodes stitch. I'm doing this on a 28 count white. Started this July 11th. And you're going to see my entire 28 stitches that I have done of 3,449. So it is at 0.8%. I basically just put enough X's in there that when they did the Rhodes workshop, I could do a couple of Rhodes stitches to make sure I knew how to do it. So next up is Stars by the Drawn Thread. I started this July 18th of 2025. This was the start I did with my friend Peggy for her 70th birthday. We were at a retreat, and what is that? Something in my bag. Oh, it's a piece of notebook paper ripped off the spiral. It was just a little piece of paper. I'm doing this on the 32 count dark cobblestone. I got this as a kit from the Drawn Thread, and I have done 518 of 5,797 stitches, which is 8.9%. I am doing the version with the full verse on it, the full saying. Next up, this is a pattern by Nara X Stitch on Etsy. She doesn't really name her patterns. I call this Autumn Town. I started it July 19th of 2025. I'm doing it on 32 count Atomic Ranch Vapors. And I did 860 of 24,665, which is 3.5%. She has a lot of shading in that. It's really pretty colors. And she may have had a sale before Christmas, and I may have bought a couple more patterns. Next up is a bandwagon I jumped on. Sarah from Stitchers Memphis Sarah E is her username, but now she owns Stitchers Memphis. And Pam from Just Keep Stitching. We're doing a stitch along for Beatrix Potter. And I think it was for anything Beatrix Potter, but they were both starting Beatrix Potter Christmas Tree. And shortly after I found out about that, I happened to come across the pattern online on the resale market because it is an out-of-print pattern. And so I decided to jump on the bandwagon. So this is Beatrix Potter Christmas Tree by Green Apple Co. Doing it on a 32 count Oak Crown Lugana in the colorway Crystal Ball. I did 719 of 24,144 stitches. It's at 3%. And I think I didn't say I started this August 14th of 2025. Next up, this is Cicada's Song Sampler by Cosford Rise Stitchery. I started this October 3rd, 2025 at the Barefoot Needle Arts Retreat. My friend Peggy and Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, started this with me. I don't remember if anybody else started it. I'm doing it on a 40 count Be Stitch Me in an unknown colorway. I think it probably came from a Friday Night Fight Night. I did 547 stitches of 17,019, and it's currently at 3.2%. And then I also started at the Barefoot Needle Arts Retreat Red and Black Sampler by Al Forst Embroidery. Started this October 4th of 2025. I am doing this with the Al Forst floss on a 40 count white. I think Peggy, was it Peggy that's doing it on a gray? It's really pretty on a gray too, very moody looking. But I went for the stark color contrast, and I did 576 of 33,948, which is 1.7%. This is a pretty big pattern. And if you know me in real life, you know that red is not my color, but I do really like the kind of red, the mostly black with the pops of red of this one. It's very pretty. And then my birthday start this year on October 6th of 2025 was Mad Tea Party by Bella Filipina. I'm doing it on 28 count fabrics by Stephanie Lugana in the colorway Bewitched. Get it turned the right way. And I did 668 stitches of 11,984, so that is 5.6%. And this has, show you the full fabric. There's some green up there, so they'll look like top of the, not hoop, but the top of the arch will be in that green. What is that? Oops, sorry, hold on a minute. I have chronic in here, and it's coming out of the bag that I'm in. I don't want it to get, because chronic is so hard to find these days. I don't want what I have to get all frayed up. Where am I? Okay, next up. This is Within a Dream by the Artsy Housewife. I started this October 29th of 2025. I'm doing it on a 20 count Ada Atomic Ranch in the colorway Freeze, F-R-I-E-Z-E, like artwork, a type of artwork, Freeze. With the called for floss, and I did 1,148 of 19,647, which is 5.8%. I don't know if it's coming across, but this is like a really light greenish tint, but it's got tans modeled on it. And then on October 30th, I started Midnight by Serenita de Campagna on 40 count Forbidden Fiber Harvest Moon. Peggy and I started this one together, and or both started it. We didn't start exactly on the same day, but we bought it together to both start. And I have done 1,173 stitches of 6,334. So I'm currently at 18.5%. Look at all that shading that gives the texture that gives it. Next up is Quilts by Long Dog Sampler. I started this on November 1st as a stitch along with Nancy. the Disorderly Stitcher, and Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, also started it, and Peggy also started it. I'm doing it on a 20 count Ada Atomic Ranch in the color Dune. And I did 1,325 of 22,319 stitches, which is 5.9%. That is the full width of the piece. It is a long, narrow piece. I'm doing it with the called for, except for the called for color for this grass was really almost a yellow. And so I did change that out for, I think, baby spinach. It's all Gentle Arts. This is another long dog that's all designed in Gentle Arts. And yeah, I changed that out for baby spinach. It was supposed to be corn husk, which to me is a yellow green. So I changed it to baby spinach. There are a couple places where I may use the corn husk, but for the grass part, I did not want yellow grass. Next up, Witch's Hollow by Autumn Lane. I started this November 13th of 25. Doing it on a 16 count Be Stitch Me in the color Pumpkin Patch. This is the called for fabric, or color at least. Doing it with called for DMC. And I have done 1,103 of 22,040 stitches, which is 5%. That is the full width across, I believe. Yes. Next up is Winter Wind by Samplers and Primitives. This is a stitch along I started with Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, on November 29th, 2025. I believe Peggy also started it. It was a stitch along in her group, Crafts and Books. And I'm doing it on a 32 count Fox and Rabbit Saltbush. And with the call for DMC floss, I did 911 of 8,483 stitches, and I'm at 10.7%. Next up is Harvest Moon by Annie B's Folk Art. I started this November 30th, 2025. This is a stitch along with Heidi, the Potty Mouth Stitcher, and Stacy, the 911 Stitcher, are doing this as a stitch along. I'm doing a 20 count Fiber on a Whim Moonstone. And I did 1,003 stitches of 19,610, which is 5.1%. Next up is Santa Sleigh by Nora Corbett. This is one of the Christmas Eve couriers. I started this December 5th. With Peggy, my friend Peggy. We're going to try to do all of them. And this is 32 count Millennial Fabrics Lugana in the colorway Harmony. Excuse me, she was kind enough to dye a full yard for both me and Peggy so that we would have enough to do all of the series. I did 1,020 of 11,892 stitches. This is 8.6%. We're getting there. Almost done. Just a few more. As you can see, if you've been paying attention, I tend to, the last 3 months of the year, or each year, is kind of going crazy with starting everything. Next up is Crow Librarian by Fine Frog Stitching. I started this on December 14th for Beth the Steadfast Stitcher, birthday sal, which was Book Lovers Birthday Sal. I'm doing it on a 16 count Picture This Plus, oops, that's not the right way. Picture This Plus Echo, 16 count Ada. And I did 678 of 4,791 stitches. And it's at 14.2%. Next up is Holly Wreath by Hello from Liz Matthews and Kathy Barrett. This was a collaboration. I started this December 15th on 32 count R&R Cream Brulee. I am doing the called for MPI, except that the called for reds were kind of orangey red. So I'm doing a brighter red for the reds, or more red, not orangey red. I did 1,082 of 10,871 stitches, which is 10%. Next up is Christmas Dinner by Cross My Heart. I started this December 19th, and I'm doing it on a 32 count white Lugana. I saw Carolyn Cizik Stitch was working on this, and I fell in love with it, so I found it on the aftermarket. It is out of print, but if you look, you can find it on in the aftermarket. I did 1,039 of 26,134 stitches. Some of those are half crosses, and for this one, for whatever reason, I've just decided to count a square as a square, regardless of it, whether it's a half or a full cross. If I use it for any challenges on Facebook, then I'll figure out for that particular challenge, you know, actual stitch count for the challenge, so that 2 halves counts as 1. But for my personal tracking, I'm just counting a square as a square. So that's currently at 4%. Okay, only 2 more to go. So my last start of 2025 was Sampler Seasons Winter by Blueberry Ridge Design. I started this Christmas Day of 2025, and doing it on a 32 count Zweigart in the color Pearl Gray. And I did 785 of 6,991 stitches, so it's 11.2%. I'm using a DMC variation, I don't know if it's variations, I think it's DMC variations around the border, and then I have pulled the 4 colors that are in that variations, and I'm using them for the other motifs, although I may use the variegated for some other things as well. Is it variations? This is the DMC, the variegated one that I'm using. Need to put a tag on that one. And then my New Year, New Start for 2026, which because of life, I did not actually get started until yesterday, January 3rd, is American Welcome by Plum Street Samplers. I am doing this on a 36 count Under the Sea fabrics in the color Spellbound. And I have done 624 stitches of 13,039, which is currently 4.8%. So that is where I am on that. And that is my end of 2025 WIP Parade. So if you have stuck around this long, which looks like it's going to be right around 2-ish hours or so based on look, I did this in like 3 chunks, but based on the time of each one of them, I think it's going to be right around 2-ish hours. So I probably will do it as one video, and you can just stop and pause whenever you want to. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave me a comment, ask me any questions. Again, there's a link to my Google spreadsheet below that has a list of all of my WIPs with fabric and notes, if any, on floss, start date, stitch count, that sort of stuff. But I am happy to try to answer any questions you may have that spreadsheet does not answer. So I think that's it. I will let you go, and hope that you are all having a wonderful 2026 so far, and hopefully I will be back in the next week or so with a kind of regular update / 2026 plans video. So talk to you later. Bye, y'all. You say hello? You want to say hello? Look. Look. Hey, psst, look. Look at the screen. Who's that? Who's that? I know, you want to call the desk. Psst, look. Hey. Look.